Hey, welcome back. Hello everyone and welcome back to Cornertwist and welcome back to Class of Sub 20, the series where I will try to teach you how to be sub 20 as fast as possible. This series will be 30-ish videos long, give or take. They're structured to build upon one another, so if you've watched the previous one, you'll be ready for this one, and then this one will prepare you for the next one, so on and so forth. If you're joining back from the last video, we tackled F2L, which is, yeah, if you've never done F2L before, it's a whole different monster. So again, if you successfully conquered that video and you have it in your arsenal now, good job. If you have not learned F2L, that's in my last video. Go check it out. If you don't care about it right now, you just want to learn how to do cross better, feel free to just watch this video and then go back and do that later. Who am I to tell you how to live your life? But yes, this video is going to be about cross solutions. And yes, we have done a video 2 videos ago on improving your cross solutions, but we have barely scratched the surface on how efficient you can make your crosses. In this video, I'm going to try to break down everything that I know about crosses, and it's going to be a lot to take in, but I have faith in you guys, and if you make it out of this video alive, I promise you that you will be all the better for it. With all that being said, let's get right into it. No script, just gonna wing it. So like I said, I made a video 2 videos ago called the improved cross solutions. I believe it was episode 3. I highly recommend you go and check out that video if you have not watched it already. I'm going to go over a couple things briefly about what's talked about in that video. One of the things we talked about is how to insert this piece right here, which if you've been keeping along so far, if you want to insert this blue, you would just move it away to one side or the other, and then you would pair it up, meeting the blue and then inserting it like that, and then remembering to fix your cross piece. We refer to that as the 3 mover, and the reason is why is because it's 3 moves. Starting from here, it's 1, 2, 3 is the 3rd move, fixing your cross. I want to go ahead and point out something, if you're not already aware, is that if you starting from this position, I recommended putting the blue over top of the blue, or whatever color this is, over top of its color, just to make things easier on yourself, and then sliding it off one way or the other, this way or this way. But you completely don't have to. If you start from here, the 3 mover works just doing this. And if you're familiar enough with the cube, just go ahead and start implementing that. Quickly, it looks like this. Okay, another thing that we talked about in that video is relativity. I've talked about this already on the channel like 3 times, so I'm not really gonna talk about it too much, but the concept of it is you have similar colors across from each other on the cube, like this blue and green, and then this orange and red, and they're always going to stay exactly where they are in relation to each other on the cube. Why this helps in making crosses is if you were to misalign the cross like this, you notice that the cross is still fixed, if you will, but the pieces are just not underneath their centers. So whenever we bring the red back, all the other colors get fixed in as well. That's because all of these pieces are relative to each other on the cube. Sometimes what will happen is you will build a cross and you'll think to yourself these are relative to each other because green across from blue, red across from orange, correct. But whenever you go to put in your one of your colors, so blue underneath blue, you might notice that these are not under the right pieces. That's because your cross was not completely relative. Relativity works with all the pieces, not just the ones across from each other. So in this example, orange needs to go on this side of blue for it to work. So it needs to be like this. You got blue, red, then green, then orange. As long as you're working in white cross, that's always going to be the case. So when you're building crosses, you can utilize relativity to put in pieces like this green, like this, instead of doing it the long way, which we're probably familiar with either bringing it to the top and inserting it like this, or like this. So you're pretty much caught up. If you didn't watch the other video, that's good enough. You'll probably be able to keep along. Another improvement we can quickly make to the 3 mover is knowing that we can do it from the back as well. So if you can do it from the front, like this, you can also do it from this side as well, or as long as you do the same finger tricks, but on the opposite side of the cube. So if we look at it like this, the blue goes down to meet the blue, we slide it in, and we fix our cross piece. Okay, to start out with, I want to show you guys one of my favorite things to do while building a cross, and I don't think it's official, but I made a name for it, and it's called piggybacking. Okay, I want us to focus here on the red cross piece right here and the green. These two are already solved, so we're not going to worry about them. Most of you would probably solve this red here first because it is the easiest. So we put that in, and then you could put in this one with the 3 mover, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make this much more efficient. So when you implement this advanced technique, you will, instead of putting in this red, bring this, I almost called it orange. You'll bring this green over top of the red, and then see how this red, whenever it goes in, it will kind of carry this green to meet the green. I call it piggybacking because it's kind of riding on red's back to be pulled in there. He's kind of hitchhiking, I guess. And then from here, you can just slide in the green. Is much more efficient. So in this case, where we've got blue right here, red right here, green right here, and orange, we can put in the orange, and then that kind of brings us to this case that we just had. You could then put green over top of red and then piggyback it in this situation. And just like with the 3 mover, we can implement this from the back as well. So if we know that we have the same exact setup, but we're holding the cube from this position this time, so imagine we just put in blue, we just got here, we know that we have a cross piece right here because we inspected beforehand. We can then put in this green right after the red by implementing the piggyback, like that. And then expanding upon my own terminology, I call this the reverse piggyback, where if you have the cross color of the opposite side of the cube, and you know it needs to go back here, you can then match it up to its color back here, kind of like a 3 mover, put it in, and then now your cross needs to come back down to meet the white. So you bring it down and then you have a complete cross. I have one more term that I've come up with, and it's called kicking, and I'm going to show you what that is. So I want you to take notice of this piece right here, this red. This red is close to red, but you'd have to normally take it up like this and then put it in. But we're going to leave it right here, and just imagine that we just started inspecting the cube. There's a green up here on top of the orange, and when I see this, I think I can piggyback this. But notice what happens if you were to put in the green right here. This red that is sitting underneath the green slot will get kicked up into the red slot right here. When this happens, you can then just slide in the red like that. An even better way would be to insert this blue that you'd already inspected with a ring finger B move like that before putting in this red. So here's a crazy thing I can showcase real quick. We have an orange ready to be slotted down like this, but we also have a blue sitting on top. So this makes me think of reverse piggybacking. What would happen if we reverse piggybacked in here? Well, when we put it in, now the green would be on top. So keep that in mind for a second. Down here we have the red set up kind of like before, where if we put this green, if this were a green up here and we slotted it in, we would kick this red over here. So imagine with me in your head, we would turn this up to reverse piggyback. This blue is right here. We put the blue down. That brings this green in like this. From there, we have the green sitting on top of the orange like we did before. We then bring orange down to slot in. Imagine that was green, and that connects the red here. So I want to show you how this would turn out by going slowly. Align the blue with the reverse piggyback. Now you've got a full piggyback. You just bring it all the way back around, slide it in, and then now you've got red connected to itself. You just put that in. And then quickly it would look like this. If you were paying attention to it, that was a 5-move cross solution. 6 if you count the double wrist turn. But seeing as how the recommended cross solution would be around 8 moves, I'd say that's pretty good. So just by knowing those two kind of advanced techniques, they open the doors for a lot of outside of the box thinking when it comes to cross solutions. But now let's add relativity into the mix. Okay, so this is essentially the same exact setup that we had before, but you might notice that something is different. This time, the blue is not connected to blue, it's connected to orange. And the piggybacking piece, if you will, is not going to be connected to the red. But let's think about this. If we were to do the exact same things as last time, where we would put in this red back here, this blue would come back down right here. This one would get slotted in over here, and then this orange would be piggybacked around and be put right there. Well, we've got a blue right here, we've got an orange right here, a green right here, and a red right here. And if you would kind of visualize it, if we turned the D layer this way, then the red would be underneath the red, green would be underneath the green, orange would be underneath the orange, and blue would be underneath the blue. So by using the same exact cross solution as last time, we would be able to do the same thing where we would put red here, pick up this orange to do kind of, I guess, like I would call it a double piggyback, where you take it full length from this side to this side, put it in, and then now this green is set up to go here. And now we can visualize it clearly. Green needs to go here, orange needs to go here, blue needs to go here, so on and so forth. So we do that by bringing one of the pieces to meet. And now, since the cross pieces are all relative to each other, they all go in to where they need to go. So doing that kind of same thing again quickly would look like this. Okay, moving along, here is another concept to think about. If you have a piece that can be put in, like such as this one, you can put it in with an F2 like this, and that's fine. But I'm going to introduce something to you that you may not have thought about. If the situation calls for it, you don't really have to put this in using an F2 or putting it in with an L2 by rotating like that. Instead, from this position, you have the option of maybe using relativity to your advantage. I'm not saying always do this, but you have the option of turning the cross, the whole thing, so that way red would need to go in here this time. And while you turn the cross, you turn this piece as well, kind of all together. And then you could put in the red relative to the cross and then slide the whole thing back. So you're essentially adding a move in to the cross solution, which you might think is bad, but if it makes it easier for finger tricks, it's something to be aware of and to consider. Okay, now I'm going to go over implementing wide moves to help with your cross solutions. I'm going to showcase this with doing something that we've already done, where we did something like move the D layer to insert this red with relativity, and then moving it back. But what would happen if we were facing this side of the cube? It kind of becomes hard to move the D layer, come out of home grip, then slide this piece in with the B move like this, and then slide the whole thing back. Instead, as an option, just an option, you don't have to implement this if it doesn't work for your cross solution, but keep it in mind. If you have this red piece back here that needs to go in underneath here, you can use a wide move, such as a wide U move, to then put the red relative to the rest of the cross, and then use the wide move to kind of undo itself. It works similarly to the front. If you have this red right here, you could think about moving the whole wide U layer, putting in the red, and then moving it all back with the wide move. And if you had this from the side where you had this red piece that needs to go in here, but you're holding the cube from this angle, you don't need to do any wide move here. You can just do what we did before, but from the backwards position, by bringing this cross this way to make this relative when it goes in to all the other pieces, and then sliding it back. Of course, when you start out, you're not going to be picking out these patterns right away, but as you progress and you practice, your brain is going to be able to pick out these patterns easier. So to make things easier on yourself, explore different cross solutions during your inspection to kind of help you find the most optimal solution to a solve. So it's great if you can get a cross solution in 8 moves, but you might be able to make another cross solution with the same setup using maybe 7 moves, and that would be better. These are advanced cross tips, so if you're able to master these, it's really going to help you in your cubing journey, and it'll get you all that much closer to being sub 20. So much so that we're not even going to be touching crosses again till at least episode 19, I believe. So I hope that inspires and motivates you to learn these cross building solutions, so that way you can implement them into your solves. And of course, as I like to do at the end of these videos, I'm going to do a couple example solves to try to showcase these topics one more time and maybe show them in a different light. So you have some variation to look at whenever you're building crosses and you have an idea of what you can do for your own. With that being said, you don't have to watch these sample solves, but I highly recommend that you do, because you might learn something that wasn't apparent before, or I might bring up something that I forgot to talk about before, which is normal for me because I forget everything. What was I talking about? Anyway, it's not important. So let's get right into these example solves. Like I started doing last video, I'm going to show you the scramble right here so you can follow along and input it into your own cube. Remember to start out holding white facing up and green facing yourself whenever you put in the scramble to get the exact same color schemes as mine. Alright, and if you input it correctly, your cube should look like mine. So to start out, we're going to place the cross color that we're working with on the bottom. Alright, we're going to take note of where all our cross pieces are during our inspection period. So we have a green cross edge right there. We have orange right here. We have red. And we have blue down here. So immediately what sticks out is that you can maybe think about sliding the blue under blue with the D move like that. And then maybe put the green on top of the red to create a piggybacking scenario where now the orange is on this side. So kind of thinking ahead, we were going to maybe put in this orange with a 3 mover here after we scoot the crossover using relativity after we input this. So what that would look like is inserting the red and then piggybacking this green in like that, and then using a cross to make this a relative solve with a 3 mover here, and then sliding the cross back. So that's a good solution. It's decent, but if you were keeping track of what we did, that was 9 moves, so that wouldn't really cut it in terms of good cross solving or good cross building, whatever you want to call it. So we want to re-examine things and explore our options. So last time what we did wasn't really optimal. So what can we do differently this time to make this better? Well, immediately another solution that sticks out to me is that you can use relativity to put this orange right here beside blue. So not putting blue in yet, but maybe utilizing the fact that this is going to be relative to it. So the only way that we accomplish that is by putting this over top of red like this, and then doing a reverse 3 mover into the back like that, making this relative to each other here. If you want the trigger to what I'm doing here, I'll go ahead and put it up there for you. L prime is what I'm doing here, and then pushing the B layer like this. So it would be a clockwise B move, so not B prime, like that. And then that would insert it here. And then you want to bring back your cross piece, and then you do an L move like that. Another good way, maybe better way of visualizing it is using a wide R prime like this, and then inputting this cross piece with a U, and then undoing that wide R move like this. It's essentially the same moves, but just a different way of thinking about how the axis goes. Okay, now that we've made the orange relative to the blue, both of these are ready to go in now with a simple D move, but we want to wait and make sure that we don't have to do anything else. And in this situation, we have the option to put the green on top of the red, because if we do that, it would then piggyback whenever red gets inserted. So from this point, these 2 pieces are figured out. We just need to fix these 2 by doing a D move, and then now this is ready to be piggybacked over red like this. So now let's count the moves that it takes to do this cross solution. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count the double flicks as 1 move. You can count them as 2. So if you count them as 2, that's 7, 8, 9. So we come out about the same, unless you count the double flick as 1. Then you actually can come out to be 8 moves. So either of those are fine, but we want to get a cross solution that is 8 moves or under. So let's see if we can find that. So we're actually going to do something very similar to what we did last time, but this time I'm going to rotate the U layer this way to have the green kind of already over top of the red, so we can piggyback. But remember, this blue piece is still down here. And now from this position, we can insert this orange with that 3 mover into the back as well. So we're this time using a wide L move, then insert this cross piece back there relative to the blue, and then undoing the wide L move with a wide L prime. So far we would do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 moves, and then we get the same solution that we did prior. So we continue. This would be 5 to align these two pieces. And then finally we put in the red, which would be 6, and then one more move would make it 7. That's what I call a cross solution. Under 8 moves, I'm happy with it. Let's go to the next one. All right, so I've already put in the scramble here. Go ahead and put that in. Remember to keep the green facing you and the white up. And your cross. And your scramble. And your cube should look exactly like mine. All right, first things first, we're going to put the white on the bottom since that's where we're building our cross. We're going to find our cross pieces. So we have orange here, blue here, green here, and red here. So very quickly, we notice that the green is underneath the blue, which is a similar color. And then same thing for red here is underneath its similar color, which is orange. So we can think here about putting the red underneath the orange in the D layer. And then we can slide the whole D layer and put the blue underneath of the orange, making it relative to the rest of the cross. So blue's gonna go here, red's gonna go here. And then if we were to input all of those with the D move, then we can put in this orange with 3 mover. Okay, that was pretty good, but was it under 8 moves? Starting here, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is a good cross solution, but I actually think we can make that one better. So let's test my hypothesis here. So we already know that if we put red down underneath of the orange, then we get these two pieces relative to each other, and that will set blue up to be here. And if we know anything about relativity, it's that whenever we move the D layer, one move to the right like this, we can then put in blue, and that will make it relative to the red. It's what we did in the previous cross solution. But undoing that real quick, we're going to not hold the cube by this side. We're going to actually hold it by this side. And by doing this, we allow the red to fall in, and then these pieces to be moved over. The blue will now come in like this, which if you were paying attention to the concepts before, we have an orange that might be able to work with going over this blue like this. We can piggyback in this orange piece here, which would be relative to the rest of the cube. So if we do this and we input it, then all we need to do is turn the cross layer one more time, like that. So let's test my theory. Instead of holding it from this side, we're going to hold it from this side. And we start counting our moves from here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 move cross, I think, is much better than 7. All right, I want to do one more solve. All right, so our last scramble is right here. Your cube should look like mine. Alrighty, to get started, we're going to put our white side on the bottom. We're going to find our cross pieces. So we've got green right here, red right here, orange right here, and blue right here. I'm not seeing anything too simple here, other than maybe putting the green underneath the red right here to make it relative to blue when it drops down, and then also making this orange relative to the rest of the cross from that point. So just to demonstrate that, we can go ahead and put the green underneath red, and we can put the blue here relative to the green. Then we can drop in the orange right here, and then slide the cross in, and then that would leave us with red like this. So you have two options. If you're in a position like this, you can then use your ring finger, of course, to slide in this with the B move. Another option is if you're in a home grip like this, you can consider using a wide move to bring this up like this, using the U layer to then align it like this, and then undoing the wide R move. That would put it into where it needs to go. This is the trigger for it. So from this position, you can either do wide R prime, U prime, wide R, and that will fix it. And if you want to think about it differently, you can think about it as being an L prime move. And then from this position, this is still the same thing, but you're going to be doing the index finger pull like this from the B layer. So turning this side, it's a B prime, and then an L move. Doing that is the same thing. So it's just however you want to think about it. Okay, so like before, we want to make sure that this cross solution is actually a viable one. So first move is sliding this green under here, followed by inserting the blue, then the orange, then the red. And we're going to make sure that our finger tricks are optimal as well. So let's look at it and count one by one. So we're holding home grip like this. I think that's the best way to start out. So we're going to go ring finger push like this to insert the green. So that's 1. Then thumb pull like this. Then put the blue. That's 2. Then we're going to put in the orange. That's 3. Then we're going to probably use this ring or this middle finger to pull the D layer to align everything. That's 4. And then from here, we're still kind of in a home grip. So I would recommend doing the second solution that we talked about. So doing a wide R like this, using the index finger to then pull this side, and then bringing this back down. So if I was counting correctly, I think that's 7 moves. All right, that's pretty much it for the crosses. With these example solves, I do like to kind of showcase what we talked about in the previous video to maybe offer a different view of what we talked about before. It was F2L, which is very hard to explain if it's the first time watching. So if you have not watched my previous video, go back and watch that, and don't watch this part because I'm just going to kind of breeze through it. This is only meant to be a recap, so don't expect an in-depth explanation of everything that I do. I'm just going to go quickly through the steps. So for step 1, we want to identify a corner, but I'm going to identify all the corners. So we've got this one, not this one. This one's got yellow. So if you remember, yellows are bad. So these two, this one here, and this one here. So taking stock of everything that we have available to us, this one's pointing up. We know that that's not the best case to start with if you can help it. These two are definitely not the best possible solutions because they're in the bottom layer. This one here is by far the best option available to us because it's in the top layer for one. It's got the white sticker on the right or the left, so it's on the right in this case. It's already got its edge piece in the top layer, so that's a thumbs up on that one. All we need to do from here is recognize whether it's a good or bad pairing, which we can plainly see here. It's not a good pairing, so it needs to be on the opposite side of the cube. This edge piece needs to be over here. So we can do that by using any of our 4 bad columns since we haven't inserted any good columns yet. We're just going to use this one to hide this corner piece, move it over here, bring it back up, fixing our cross while we do it. And then I'm going to do something that I didn't do in the last video. So before, we would rotate this to match the colors like this, and we're still going to do that. But instead of holding it at this angle, we're going to go to this angle, hold it from this side of the cube, and then do the same thing. So if you look back here, they're still connected. But instead of doing what we did before, which is the R prime, from this position, we can do the exact same thing, but with L and U moves instead. So we can go L, U, L prime, and that will actually insert it. I didn't really mention it in the last video. I could have, but it's more of a, not really advanced F2L concept, but more of a, like an intermediate type of thing. So that's why I'm kind of introducing it now. It's always better to insert into a back slot if you can help it rather than a front slot, just because it helps with look ahead. And if you don't know what that term is, we're going to talk about it a lot more in the future videos. All right, we're going to take stock of our corners again. So here's a good corner. Not really. This is a bad corner. It's got yellow on it. So we've got this one here. And the criteria number 2 is that we need to have it in the top layer, which that's a check mark. It needs to have the white sticker facing left or right, not up. And this one checks that box. Now we need to find our edge piece. And if you remember how to find your edge piece, it's the 2 colors that are on this whole corner piece right here. So we've got green and red. It's not going to have this white color on it since the edge pieces only have 2 colors on them. So we look around and it's right here. It's got green and red. So of course we're going to need to bring this green and red over here because it will be a good pairing. Both of the top colors match. So we need to hide this corner piece using a bad column. So we have this one right here. You hide it. bring this one over, and then bring this corner piece back up to match. And now you've got this case. We're going to slide the color over top of its color just to keep things simple on us. And if you remember the method of solving this case, it looks like the sledgehammer. So I'm going to use just a sledgehammer algorithm. Sledgehammer goes F, R prime, F prime, R. And remember that it's only because it's on the right side of the cube that we're doing the right-handed version of sledgehammer. All right, again, we have a corner piece here and a corner piece here. We've already done the other two, so we don't need to count them. This one's the better one to go for because, it is in the top layer. This one is not. So top layer, the white color sticker is facing to the right, which is good. We don't want it to be facing up. From here, we're going to find our edge piece, and it's right here. It's got red, blue, check marks, and it's in the top layer already. So we're ready to determine whether it's a good or bad pairing. It's going to be good because both of these colors match. So we just need to get this one right here. We're going to find a bad column to operate out of. So this one back here works. So we're going to position this in a way that we can take advantage of this column. We need to hide this corner piece like this, and then bring this edge piece right beside it. So when we bring it back up, they match. And then from here, we're going to do the same thing as before. It's the right-handed sledgehammer. And then finally, we have this corner piece right here. The white sticker is facing upwards. So step 1 and 2 are done. It's in the top layer, but we need to fix this upward facing sticker. And if you remember how to do that, we don't bring it over top of a good column. We bring it over top of a bad column, such as this one. And we need to use that one to kind of flip this one on its side and then push it out of the way. And then bring your cross back down. Notice if this one were to come here, like let's just say I would randomly turn the U layer again just to bring this one right here. If I wasn't paying attention, this edge would have gone back down in here. So if you see your edge piece that you're working with and you can avoid doing extra work, just make sure that you don't accidentally put it in this layer and then have to run the risk of dragging it back out again. So just go ahead and do yourself the favor of not turning this one more time if you feel inclined to for whatever reason. So leaving it here, we're just going to bring our cross piece down. And now you have both of your pieces, your corner and your edge, in the top layer. You look at your two colors on the top. So this is not a good pairing because both of the colors are not matching. They're opposite colors. So in this case, you have the opposite side pairing. So normally it would go here. You need it to be over here, which if you notice, it is already here. So luckily enough, it's already paired. All we need to do is bring this green over top of the green. And then from here, we could insert with the back slot, but it's the last one. So I don't see a need to. We could just do our righty alg minus the U move at the top. You can do the U move if it makes you feel better, but you don't need it by any means. And yeah, F2L is done. Okay guys, that is all I have for you today. I hope that you found this video informative as always. If you did, give this video a like, whatever you do to give YouTubers appreciation nowadays. If you still found the content in here to be hard to follow, I'm going to be doing another example solve at the end of next video. I upload like every 3 days or so. If you don't want to wait that long, other YouTubers have advanced cross tutorials, and maybe they'll cover what you need to know. But yeah, whatever you need to do to get yourself comfortable with the content that we're talking about here, go ahead and do that. In the next video, we're going to be covering F2L once again, but this time we're going to be diving into more advanced concepts within F2L. So be ready for that. I'm not going to use up any more of your precious time. Thanks for watching. Bye.